Welcome back. We are still on the topic statistics. In the previous video, we solved a question on presenting statistical data on a pie chart. In this video, we are going to solve another question. The question for this video is, in a football season, the number of goals scored by some teams are as follows. So we have 5 different teams here, and the number of goals they scored have been given to us. The question says that we should draw a pie chart to illustrate the data, and then we should find the percentage of the total number of goals scored by Chelsea. We will begin by drawing the pie chart. We have learnt that before we can calculate the angle of sector for each of these teams, we first have to find the total number of goals. So you add the number of goals scored by each team together. 140 plus 120 plus 190 plus 150 plus 200, and that will give us 800. So the total number of goals scored by the teams is 800. We will now have to calculate the angle of sector for each of the teams. We have learnt that the angle of sector for an item is equal to the value assigned to that item divided by the sum of all the values assigned to the items times 360 degrees. So the angle of sector for Chelsea will be equal to the number of goals scored by Chelsea, which is 140, divided by the total number of goals, which is 800, times 360 degrees, and this will give us 63 degrees. The angle of sector for Manchester United will be equal to the number of goals scored by Manchester United, which is 120, divided by the total number of goals, which is 800, times 360 degrees, and this will give us 54 degrees. The angle of sector for Liverpool will be equal to the number of goals scored by Liverpool, which is 190, divided by the total number of goals, which is 800, times 360 degrees, and that will give us 85.5 degrees. The angle of sector for Arsenal will be equal to the number of goals scored by Arsenal, which is 150, divided by the total number of goals, which is 800, times 360, and that will give us 67.5 degrees. And finally, the angle of sector for Manchester City will be equal to the number of goals scored by Manchester City, which is 200, divided by the total number of goals, which is 800, times 360 degrees, and that will give us 90 degrees. When we add these angles together, we are going to get a total of 360 degrees. So we now have the angle of sector for each of the teams here. We can go ahead and draw the pie charts. We will begin by drawing a circle. Then we will draw a radius, that is a line from the center of the circle to a point on the circumference. Now we will measure the angles we have here one after the other using a protractor. So you pick the protractor and you make sure that the center of the protractor falls on the center of the circle, and also the 0 degree line falls on the radius that you have drawn. After making sure of these two things, you can measure out the angle. The angle is 63 degrees. We have 60 degrees here, so the next one will be 61, the one after that will be 62, and the one after that one will be 63. So we have 63 degrees here. You make a mark there. After that, you take the protractor off. Then you join the center of the circle to the mark that you have made using a ruler. Then you draw a line from the center of the circle to the circumference. That will give us our 63 degree angle, and this sector is for Chelsea. The next one is Manchester United. The angle is 54 degrees. So you bring the protractor back, you put the center of the protractor on the center of the circle, and also make sure that the 0-degree line falls on the new radius that you have drawn. We can now measure out the 54 degrees. We have 50 degrees here, so the next one will be 51, we have 52, 53, and then 54. You make a mark there, then you take the protractor off, you join the center of the circle to the new mark that you have made using a ruler. Then you draw a line from the center of the circle to the circumference. The angle there will be 54 degrees, and this sector is for Manchester United. We move on to the next one, which is Liverpool. You bring the protractor back. Once again, you make sure that the center of the protractor is on the center of the circle, and the 0-degree line falls on the new radius that you have drawn. We can now measure the 85.5 degrees angle. We have 80 degrees here, so this will give us 85 degrees. The next one will be 86 degrees. So 85.5 will be between 85 degrees and 86 degrees. So you make the mark there. Then you take the protractor off. Then after that, you join the center of the circle to the mark that you have made using a ruler. Then you draw a line from the center of the circle to the circumference. The angle there will be 85.5 degrees, and this will be the sector for Liverpool. The next one is Arsenal. The angle of the sector is 67.5 degrees. So you bring the protractor back, you make sure that the center of the protractor is on the center of the circle, and also the 0-degree line falls on the new radius that you have drawn. We can now measure out the 67.5 degrees angle. We have 60 degrees here, and so this is 65 degrees. From 65, we will go to 66, the next one is 67, and the one after that is 68. 67.5 will be between 67 degrees and 68 degrees. So between them, you make a mark there. Then you take the protractor off. You join the new mark that you have made to the center of the circle using a ruler. Then you draw a line from the center of the circle to the circumference. The angle we have measured here is 67.5 degrees, and the sector is for Arsenal. The last one is Manchester City, and the angle is 90 degrees. Because we have measured out the angles we have here already, there will be no need to measure the last one because it will be 90 degrees. So the last one is 90 degrees, and this sector is for Manchester City. So you have been able to draw a pie chart to present the data that was given to us in the question. The second part of the question says that, what percentage of the total goals was scored by Chelsea? So the question wants us to calculate the number of goals Chelsea scored as a percentage of the total. The number of goals Chelsea scored is 140, and the total is 800. So the number of goals Chelsea scored as a percentage of the total will be equal to 140 divided by 800 times 100, and this will give us 17.5%. So it means that Chelsea scored 17.5% of the total number of goals. We can calculate this percentage by using the angle of sector. So we can also use the angle of sector to calculate this percentage. The angle of sector for Chelsea is 63 degrees. The total angle is 360 degrees. So if we want the number of goals Chelsea scored as a percentage of the total, we can get that by dividing the angle of sector for Chelsea, which is 63 degrees, by the total angle, which is 360 degrees, and then we will multiply our answer by 100. 63 divided by 360 times 100 will also give us 17.5%. so we can use both ways to calculate the percentage. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to this channel for more videos. So far, we have solved 2 questions on presenting statistical data on a pie chart. In some cases, the pie chart may be drawn for you, and then you'll be asked to use the pie chart to answer some questions. We are going to consider such an example in the next video. So see you in the next video, and let's continue. Bye-bye.